We are looking at your free response 4 assignment, question 2, where you have a payoff matrix with 2 restaurants. One is pie crust and the other is La Pizza. So we know that they're trying to decide whether they should advertise or not. And we see in the matrix what their profit would be. So the higher numbers here are better. This is something you want to be careful, because some of these matrices, these dollar amounts might be defined as losses, in which case the lower number is better, is more desirable. But in this case, this is a profit, so the higher numbers are more desirable. And we know that both firms have complete information, so they know what the other firm is going to do, or they know what the other firm's profits are. So they know they all have this matrix, both the firms. They're not operating in the dark. Okay, so the first question here is, what strategy should Pie Crust choose if La Pizza chooses to advertise? And explain the dollar values in the payoff matrix. So I've actually got this over here. So let's just jump over here. And it's easier if we look at this. It's easier if we look at this. I want to go up or down here. I want to go up. Okay. If we look at this with some colors. Okay. So, and let me just jump this down here so we don't get confused about that right now. Okay, so I've got pie crust in blue and La Pizza in green. So the profits that we're going to be associated with pie crust are here, 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 and here. And for La Pizza, here, 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 and here. Okay, so the problem is telling us that we know that La Pizza is going to advertise. So let's jump back over here and see what that's going to look like. So they're going to be here. Okay, so they're going to be here. So so they're going to be either here or here, depending on what pie crust does. So if we think about this, they're going to be pie crust. 2 choices are going to be either they're going to advertise or they're not, and they're here. They can't be over here because they know that La Pizza is either going to be here or here. They're going to advertise. So this is where they are. Okay, this is where the green. This is where La Pizza is. Okay, so it's if we know that that's where they are, then we know that the 2 choices that a pie crust have is either to advertise and get a profit of 250, or not and get a profit of 180. So they're obviously going to go here, which is, not good for La Pizza, but their pie crust is responding to what La Pizza is doing. Okay, so that's going to answer number 1. So or whatever it is, 2A, I guess, 2A. So we can say that pie crust is going to advertise, and they're going to do that because 250 is better than or greater than 180. Okay, so that's easy enough, right? Sorry. So part A. Now part B. What is the dominant strategy, if any, for La Pizza? Explain using the dollar values and the payoff matrix. Now this is a little bit more involved, because what we're asking, so let's jump back over. So we're looking at La Pizza. Okay, so let's jump back over here. We're looking at La Pizza. So we're saying, what is their dominant? Do they have a dominant strategy? Okay, so let's say they say they're going to advertise, right? So if they're here, then, right? And let's just use this. So if why this would be dominant? How you would determine this is, are they better off? Is a question that La Pizza is going to ask, because we're trying to discern if they have a dominant strategy, right? So they're going to ask, are we better off advertising than not advertising, no matter what Pie Crust does? Okay, so let's say Pie Crust decides to advertise, and they're here. Well, if this is what Pie Crust decides to do, then La Pizza is worse off than if they did not advertise. So that's not where they want to be. Now, if Pie Crust decides to not advertise, then La Pizza is better off, right? 500 is greater than 400, so they're better off if they advertise versus not, right? So they don't have a clear choice here at all, because it depends on what Pie Crust does. Now, if we say, okay, what if they say, let's see if this is a dominant strategy, if it is a dominant for La Pizza to not advertise. Okay, well, if they go here and Pie Crust decides to not, then they are better off. Then La Pizza is better off here. However, if Pie Crust decides to not, and we're down here, then La Pizza is worse off, okay? Because they would be better off being over here and advertising. So there's no dominant strategy here either, because once again it depends on what Pie Crust does. So your answer here would be, using these different scenarios to explain that. Let's go back over here. That La Pizza does not have a dominant strategy, because no matter if they advertise or not, I should say, they're not going to be better off no matter what Pie Crust does. They're only going to be better off if Pie Crust makes one of the choices. Okay, a dominant strategy would be defined. Say that this was 300. Okay, if this was a 300, I'm going to actually grab one of these so I can just show that. Let's just say it's something lower. Let's say it's 140, just for argument's sake. Okay, so I can show you what that would actually look like. If this were here, okay, then the dominant strategy would be for La Pizza to not advertise, because they're better off. A 300 is better than a 200, and 400 is better than 140. So if they don't advertise, then it doesn't matter what Pie Crust does, whether they decide to advertise or not, either here or here. La Pizza is better off not advertising than if they were to advertise. That would be a dominant strategy. But since this is actually higher than 400 and not lower, then we do not have a dominant strategy. Okay, that takes care of, I think, 1 and 2, right? Or actually parts A and B. So I'm going to I'm going to come back on the next video and talk about question 2, parts C and D. Okay.